Nebraska had more turnovers than a family-owned bakery last season, but it wasn't bad play calling that did the Cornhuskers in. It was bad luck. This is Team Rivalry. Since joining the Big Ten in 2011, Nebraska hasn't exactly had an easy go of it. Unless you live in Nebraska and are a Cornhuskers fan, you've probably forgotten that they actually went to the second annual Big Ten championship game 10 years ago. Although it seems like maybe perhaps Cornhusker fans have blocked that from their memory, I don't know. At this point, I think even Wisconsin has forgotten which high school team it was they dropped 70 points on.
You know what separates the winners from the losers, kid?
The score.
Fast forward to last year, 2021, and Scott Frost is entering his fourth season with the Cornhuskers. Now, when he first got there, I kind of think that the expectations were rather cautious optimism among Cornhusker Nation. It was the return of the son of Nebraska football, who had claimed 1.5 national championships as a player. I still think it's kind of cute they try and claim one in 1997, but that's just me.
Want to talk about our opponent? They're bigger, faster, stronger, more experienced. And on paper, they're just better.
Needless to say, Nebraska's 2021 season didn't exactly go well. The program set an FBS record with 9 single-digit losses in a single season. Whatever expectations there were for the 2021 campaign quickly dissipated in real time as the entire college football world watched the return of Brett Bielema to the Big Ten start off 1-0. And it's not even like Illinois had a good season either. But now it's 2022, so it's high time that the pundits get together and put forth their useless opinions about college football, even though we're 150 some odd days out from it, and frankly, nothing they say ever comes to fruition throughout the season anyway. But we're also a punditry show, so we're just going to talk about what they said. From ESPN.com, quote, headline, "Which team will be the biggest surprise of the 2022 season?" End quote. Chris Lowe said Miami. Mark Schlabach said Florida State. Ryan McGee said BYU. And Heather Dinich said NC State. But it was David Hale that dared to bring up the lowly Huskers. Expectations are relative. Odds are most Nebraska fans expect their team to be better than the Las Vegas odds makers do, mostly because fans aren't required to be reasonable. That's kind of rude. I don't think this is necessarily a 10-win team with a real shot at the Big Ten title. Wow. But it's certainly a bowl team and potentially one that could make a run at the West Division. Okay, a run, but they can't get to the Big Ten championship. Okay, so they can make a run for it, but eventually it's going to end in heartbreak. Come on, David. As awful as last year's 3-9 record, 1-8 in conference play, looked, the Huskers were every bit as unlucky as they were bad. Unlucky is a way to explain your failure. Ron Swanson. Where was I? Nebraska was 0-7 in one-possession games, a historically unlucky performance, and the Huskers were within a TD in the fourth quarter of all but one game. It's not even as if there was one big issue. Turnover margin, red zone efficiency, special teams that really killed the Huskers. They were mostly middle of the pack, a 6 or 7 win team that just happened to win 3. That luck has to change eventually, so here's betting the football gods swing the pendulum back in the other direction, and Scott Frost finally puts together something resembling a successful campaign. Yeah, or else maybe their quarterback could stop fumbling the ball and throwing interceptions that ultimately break their backs, but, that's just me. Anyway, moving on. I appreciate Hill's attempt to excuse failure for just bad luck, but unfortunately, I have to disagree. You see, it really was just one thing that was keeping the Huskers from being the team they truly could have been. And that one thing really was turnovers. Inconsistent defense would be a close second, but it's the turnovers I want to focus on because that is in fact why the Huskers lost most of their games. Not to be redundant, but it's true. Take this example from the Illinois game. 1st and 10 at the Nebraska 39. Adrian Martinez pass incomplete to Chris Hickman. 2nd and 10 at the Nebraska 39. Adrian Martinez pass complete to Omar Manning for 8 yards to the Nebraska 47. Timeout Nebraska. Clock at 47 seconds. 3rd and 2 at the Nebraska 47. Adrian Martinez sacked by Keith Randolph Jr. for a loss of 5 yards. Adrian Martinez fumbled, recovered by Calvin Hart Jr., returned for 41 yards for a touchdown. This example from the Oklahoma game. 2nd and goal at the Oklahoma 4. Adrian Martinez run for 4 yards for a touchdown. Kalen Meyer point after attempt blocked. Pat Fields returned for defensive point after touchdown. It's not a turnover exactly, but it's a gaffe, and it didn't help, and the other team got points because of it. Or this example from the Michigan State game. 2nd and goal at the Nebraska 3. Adrian Martinez, pass intercepted, return for no gain to the Nebraska 22. Adrian Martinez, pass intercepted, return for no gain to the Nebraska 22. Adrian Martinez, pass intercepted, return for the no gain to the... ESPN, did you have a stroke writing this? Anyway, Matt Coughlin got a field goal out of it. Moving on. And finally, this from the Michigan game. Jake Moody, kickoff for 65 yards for a touchback. 1st and 10, the Nebraska 25. Adrian Martinez, pass complete to Levi Falk for 7 yards. 2nd and 3 at the 32. Ramir Johnson run for 2 yards to the Nebraska 34. 3rd and 1 at the Nebraska 34. Adrian Martinez run for 3 yards to the Nebraska 18. Adrian Martinez fumbled. Forced by Brad Hawkins, recovered by Brad Hawkins from Michigan, returned for 19 yards to the Nebraska 18, and what would eventually result in the go-ahead field goal.
I honestly believe this is going to be the bottom.
Are you starting to see a trend here? Nebraska was -5 in turnover margin in 2021, and unfortunately for them, the culprit was mostly Adrian Martinez. Now, it doesn't completely fall on his shoulders. This is a team game. There are 11 people on the field after all. And one can only imagine how desperate he was to be good at this former powerhouse of a football team, especially given the fact that he was such a talented quarterback. It's one of those tragic things about college football that makes it so intriguing. Your team could be doing everything right. You could be having a lot of success. You could even be keeping a close game against a top opponent, just for one ill-fated play late in the 4th quarter to keep you from achieving victory. It happened against Michigan. It happened against Ohio State. And it happened against Michigan State. And those are 3 programs that you absolutely cannot turn the ball over against. Combine that with inconsistent defense, and you'll find yourself sitting at 3-9.
I'm kind of excited because it's not going to get worse than this, and it's only up from here.
But that was last year. What about this year? Well, Nebraska's actually been killing it in the transfer portal. Frost was able to sign former Florida State 4-star quarterback recruit Chubba Purdy, but the even bigger news was the acquisition of Casey Thompson, another former 4-star quarterback from Texas who led the Big 12 in touchdowns in 2021. Nebraska also revamped their entire offensive staff with a new coordinator in Mark Whipple. Whipple was the offensive coordinator for Pittsburgh last season, where he coached the top 10 scoring offense in the nation and Heisman finalist Kenny Pickett. On defense, the Huskers also added 4 new massive additions, literally and figuratively. Not the least of which being Kane Williams, a former 4-star safety from Alabama. Currently, Nebraska holds a 2022 recruiting class ranking of 33rd with a composite ranking of 41st. But as far as transfers go, they're actually ranked number 12. To me, this says that Scott Frost knows it's a make-it-or-break-it year. After all, you don't go too many seasons at Nebraska, the former blue blood that they were, with a losing record, and get to keep your job. But all of these coaching shifts and talent acquisitions tell me that there may in fact be something special brewing in Lincoln this year. Now, I'm going to be completely honest with you. I don't necessarily think it's going to translate to a Big Ten championship, although who knows. But you just kind of got to look at that really tough stretch to end the season. Still, with Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Oklahoma at home this year, the Huskers do have a real shot at turning things around. Especially because I think at this point the fan base would just be excited with a bowl game. But that said, don't be too surprised if Nebraska walks into Ann Arbor on November 12th with a 9-0 record. If they clean up the turnovers and the inconsistencies on defense, it could happen. Thanks for watching. If you think Nebraska could win a Big Ten championship this year and then get blown out in the playoffs by Alabama, Clemson, or Ohio State, then like this video. Maybe even share it. I really don't want Ohio State to go to the playoffs. I get it. I'm biased. I'm sorry. But you saw the Block M. You had to know. Okay? This is your fault, honestly. It's all your fault. Nebraska's not your fault. But my bias is your fault. All right. Thanks for watching. Bye. Did I say, what did I just say?